What's up you guys, I'm back with another video, and in today's video we're going to talk about front-end development versus back-end development, which one is better for you and which one is going to provide you the best opportunities going into the future. So let's get started. Alright, so if you've been following me for a while, you probably already know what front-end and back-end is, but if you're new here, let me quickly explain to you what front-end and back-end development means. Any web service that you use like YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, it always has a front-end and a back-end. The front-end is the app which you actually interact with. So your website is a front-end, your mobile app, it's a front-end. The back-end is actually where the logic and database resides, right? So the back-end actually stores the data somewhere. So let's take YouTube for an example, right? Depending on where you're watching it, if you're watching it on your phone, your YouTube app, or your browser in the youtube.com website, that is going to be the front end of the app, which will show you the video, which will show you the buttons to like, comment, which will show you all the related videos and stuff like that. So this is the front end of the app. This is what you interact with as a user. The developers who build this front end are called front end developers. And similarly, there is the back end of the app. The video that you're watching right now, it's not stored on your phone, right? It is coming from some YouTube servers. The YouTube servers run a software which is providing you this video, which is providing you all the data about this video, you know, the title, the description. And by the way, let me tell you, there's a subscribe button right there. Click that subscribe button. If you click on that subscribe button, your front end makes a request to the back end, and the back end actually subscribes you to my channel. And this is the interaction that happens between front end and back end. So in this video, we're going to talk about which one is better as a developer, as a software engineer for you, and which one will give you the best opportunities going forward. Right, so let's start with the first point, which is complexity or barrier to entry. So traditionally, backend has been known as the more complex part of the stack, but it is changing over time, right? Initially, like in the early 2000s, the backend is where everything happened. All the requests that you make from your browser will be sent to the backend. Backend will actually process the request, bring together the data, and like build the web page and then send it to the front end, and the front end will just render that web page, right? So in those times, backend was where everything, all the logic used to reside at, and front end was a very light markup layer, right? Front end just comprised of HTML, CSS kind of a thing. But over time, with the advent of JavaScript and modern frameworks like React, and more importantly, with the advancement in technologies, the browsers have become super powerful, right? Now a lot of things can be done by the browser on your client itself, because your computer is more powerful. Your browser is able to do much more things. For example, you're looking at a stock portfolio website and you're looking at the list of stocks that you have. If you want to say sort the stocks, you will click on the sort functionality, which will sort the stocks from lowest cost to highest cost, or highest cost to lowest cost. That request used to go to the backend. The backend used to do the sorting, then return the new data, and the front end used to render it. Now a lot of the modern web apps do all this sorting kind of a thing on the front end itself, because like it's very easy to do, right? This is just a very naive example, but a lot of the functionality that earlier used to take time, because every request need to go to the backend, and backend needs to, you know, for example, routing. If you want to go from about page to your settings page, it will send a request to the backend. Backend will then send back the settings page for you, right? That's how it used to be in the past. But today, everything happens on the front end. Front end is able to route you. We can build single page applications where you can go to different web pages. You can do different things without even hitting the backend. The only time when you're actually going to hit the backend is when you need some data, or when you have to do something to the data, update it, delete it, something like that. So a lot of the functionality that traditionally used to happen at the backend has been brought into the front end, and like a lot of these things happen just on the front end to give you better user experience, faster applications, and stuff like that. Ever felt trapped in something that doesn't align with you, but you've still got to do it on a daily basis? For example, your job. Does it cost you your focus, opportunity, productivity, and happiness? If you nodded your head, you're definitely not alone. If you're finding it difficult to juggle between your job and personal life, it's a sign of being trapped in a job that you no longer enjoy. What can you do? Grab the opportunity with Relevel by Unacademy and take the hiring ball in your court. Attempt the Relevel test free of cost. Prove your worth and secure interview opportunities from the top startups in India like Cred, Grow, Upgrad, Meesho, Yellow.ai, and many more. If you're looking for a higher pay package, many of these companies offer packages as high as 15 lakhs. All you need to do is take the Relevel test absolutely free of cost and open the flourishing doorway to your career and to your future. To get selected for the recruitment opportunities, you must secure over 70% in the test, complete your Relevel profile, and get the opportunity to interview with these amazing companies. If you're still unsure about taking the test, check out Relevel Achievers Twitter page to find other people who have already taken the test and transformed their careers. If you're geared up to elevate your career and take your life a few notches higher, visit Relevel and register for your test today. So over time, front-end has become more and more complex, and back-end, yes, it is still complex, but front-end has increased in complexity. So now they are both at a comparable state. Earlier, it used to be a thing where backend engineers used to think that front-end engineers are not really engineers. I mean, it wasn't even a job. Front-end, basically designers used to just, I think, do markup stuff, and HTML, CSS used to be the front-end, and the backend engineers were actually the software engineers. But over time, front-end engineering has evolved as a discipline, and a lot of the complexity is handled at the front-end. So front-end has taken over some of the complexity from the backend. So now all of them are software engineers and have to actually write programs using JavaScript or some front-end library. So that's about the complexity. Next point is the barrier to entry, right? In my opinion, barrier to entry is lower in the front end because, for example, if you have no experience and you want to get into software engineering, it's going to be easier for you to get a job as a software engineer for front end rather than for back end. Just because like even learning wise, you're able to explore much more on the front end because you're just able to build websites and applications and like demonstrate them. Demonstration is the more important part because it's hard to demonstrate a back-end application, right? You can't just make some backend project and show it to prospective employers that, hey, I made this backend, you know, like usually the projects are in terms of front end. If you have both backend and front end, that's going to be the best of both worlds. But front end is usually more important when you want to demonstrate your skills to a prospective employer. In that way, I think front end is easier to get into as a newbie. And I don't think I'll be wrong if I tell you that there are more opportunities as of right now for front end developers than back end developers. We will talk more about why that is so. But for now, let's move on to the next point, which is salary. So traditionally, again, backend developers, since it was a more complex job, more heavy duty, more programming involved, it was the more paid job, right? But today, from the past 5 years, I think front end has become equal, if not more. I know some front end positions pay even more than back end positions. Like if you're a master of your trade and if you're a skilled front-end developer, you're like on a senior level, there are opportunities for you that can get you paid more than back-end developers, right? Because there is a need for that. So salary should not be a big deal. Both of them get paid really well. So if you were to ask me who makes more money, the front-end engineer or the back-end engineer, I would say they both make the same money. Moving on to the next point, which is skills or transferability of skills, which is going to help you in the future, right? How are your skills going to translate going into the future? So in my opinion, I've seen that backend technologies, although they have been pretty much consistent for the past 10 or 20 years, like we use the same Java, Spring backend or the Django Python backend, Node.js or PHP or Ruby on Rails, something like that. They have been pretty stable, but these days we are seeing a disruption that most of like the new industries like crypto industry, for example, uses a completely new backend paradigm, which is basically smart contracts and decentralized backend systems, but front end remains the same. And even if you look at crypto, whether you look at AI, for example, if you have a machine learning backend, your front end will still remain the same. So if you're a front end engineer, your skills are much more transferable because, for example, I have skills in React, so like I can contribute to a crypto company, to an AI company, to any kind of a company, right? Because all these applications will always need a front end. If you look at AI, there are some amazing projects by OpenAI, and there are some amazing companies that have been built on top of them like Banner Bear or Copy.ai. So on the backend, it'll probably use the machine learning model or the AI that you've built. But on the front end, it is going to be the exact same, right? You're going to use the same React, same JavaScript to build your front-end components, and they're going to be interacting with a different backend, whether it is a crypto backend or it's an AI backend or it's a normal CRUD backend. Like it doesn't matter. So like backend is varying as we go on with time, but the front-end is remaining constant and front-end is increasing in demand because it is required. It is not going anywhere. So if you're telling me that all these no-code tools that, you know, anyone can build websites using Webflow or something, it's not front-end development, right? It is basically a designer's job. You can put together some text and some images and stuff, but front-end development is much more than that. So the Webflow app that you actually use to build these websites is built by front-end developers, right? So who is going to provide support for those apps? Who is going to build those apps like Webflow or Wix or anything, right? So front-end developers are needed, and like these tools I don't think will replace front-end developers, because like front-end developers needed to build these tools and to build interfaces for artificial intelligence applications, for crypto applications. So basically front-end remains the same. Like for example, your React skills are going to be very transferable across industries. And even in my experience, like a few companies that I have seen have used different backends, like some use Django, some use Spring, some use Hack. But like in my experience, all of them have been using the same exact stack for front end, right? HTML, CSS, JavaScript. React is like super popular. Everyone uses React. and it's going to give you the edge because your skills are going to be very transferable. This brings me to my last point, which is personal preference, right? So in the end, what you want to do really depends on what you really want to do, right? Like I enjoy building front ends of the app. I also like backend, but I lean more towards front end. In the past, I've done full stack, so I have that skill set of a full stack engineer. But if I were to choose going forward, I would probably lean more towards front end because I enjoy that more. For you, you need to determine what do you enjoy more, right? Do you enjoy building interfaces? Do you enjoy developing applications that users are going to interact with, thinking about user experience and making the best interface possible so everyone wants to use your app? I mean, I don't know about you, but I usually, if there are two banks for example and I'm choosing from them and they give me the same kind of features, which are usually the case, right? Banks do not generally vary a lot in their offerings, but one has a better front end, I would probably go with that because like I like to get better user experience when I'm using their platform. This is common across industries and you will be the one developing this user experience, so I think that makes sense for me. You need to figure out if that you enjoy that or you enjoy building databases and scaling applications, building one server that can handle 10,000 concurrent requests and then expanding it horizontally, scaling it to make it handle 10 million concurrent requests, 1 billion requests and stuff like that, right? If you enjoy that kind of a thing where you don't care about, like for example, when I'm doing front-end development, I see the changes as and when I make them, but on the back end, it's a lot of just testing with the terminal and testing whether your API works, whether your functionality is working as expected, and then handing it over to the front end to actually interact with and display something on the interface. But yeah, you need to decide which one you enjoy more. If you're still conflicted, you're not able to decide, you can always take the full stack route, which is what I took. So I did full stack because I wasn't sure what I actually want to do, whether it's front end more or back end, but I took the full stack route, which provided me with a lot of opportunities and also helped me to understand which part of the work I like better. So basically, full stack is always an option. It has a lot of opportunities, it has a lot of utility because you can contribute to the company across the stack and you can build your own product end to end without using any other help from any other person. So yeah, that's it for this video. If you found it helpful, smash the like button, leave a comment down below if you have any other questions for me, and you can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I'll leave the links in the description for that. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.